Every day, F would feed them with blood, and then he injected the developed antidote into the Bloods' bodies. The next moment, the raging Bloods unexpectedly calmed down gradually. As Nora and F were preparing to celebrate, suddenly the Bloods began to convulse violently, and then there was no movement. Then F looked at the pustules on Blood's neck. The failure of the antidote experiment caused F to break down again. Nora immediately comforted him upon seeing this. Kelly returned home and took out the clothes Zach had worn before. Throwing them on the ground, the feelers gathered around and began to sniff the scent on the clothes. Then Kelly ordered the feelers to find her son at all costs. Meanwhile, Abraham was by the river when a Blood suddenly emerged from behind him. Abraham sees this and immediately pulls out a silver nail gun to fight back. Abraham takes the silver sword and cuts off Blood's head. Abraham pulled a small bottle out of his pocket, then used a spoon to scoop the nematodes from Blood's body into the bottle. Soon, Abraham returned home and put the captured nematodes into a beaker. Immediately after that, he boiled the water, cooking the nematodes alive. Abraham timed it and then poured the boiled nematodes water into a small bottle. After it cooled down, Abraham dripped it into his own eyes. On the other side, F didn't see Zach in the house. He asked around, but no one had seen him, which made F feel uneasy. Zach's clothes and boots were also missing. Everyone immediately ran out to search for him. Luckily, F found Zach on a bus and quickly went to stop it. It was only after questioning that the ticket agent realized that the two men were father and son. She rushed Zach out of the car. F then asked Zach where he wanted to go. Zach wanted to find Kelly. Upon hearing that Zach wanted to find his ex-wife, F softened. On the other side, Nora noticed that Abraham hadn't left the house for a long time. She came to knock on the door to inquire about the situation, but there was no response from inside. Nora saw Abraham lying on the ground through the crack and immediately broke in. Upon examination, Abraham's pulse was very weak. Nora quickly performed artificial respiration on him. Luckily, Nora's timely discovery saved Abraham. Then Nora helped him up and asked what had happened, but Abraham insisted that there was nothing wrong with him, which Nora naturally didn't believe. No matter how much Nora questioned him, Abraham refused to speak. When Nora returned to the room again, Abraham had already regained his composure. Nora saw this and started pressing him on what he'd done. Seeing Nora's firm attitude, Abraham had no choice but to confess the truth. He was already in his 90s now, and in order to continue hunting the Blood ancestors, he extracted the essence of the nematodes and dripped it into his eyes. This way, he could prolong his life. He knew that he might go to hell because of this, but he was willing to do anything to kill the Blood ancestors. Gabe, with an extremely eerie makeup, caught the attention of the police. The police then pulled out their guns and asked Gabe to cooperate with the inspection. When they opened his backpack, they found a lot of soil inside, which left the police baffled. After getting a clear look at Gabe's face, the police recognized him as a singer. They then prepared to examine the soil in the backpack. Gabe intervened and warned them that they would regret touching it. The police didn't take it seriously and directly grabbed a handful of soil. The next moment, nematodes from the soil crawled into the police officer's hand, frightening him. Another officer quickly approached to check, and Gabe took the opportunity to kick him. Just as Gabe turned his head to run away, his wig was pulled off unexpectedly, so Gabe reached out to Stinger and started to fight back. The police drew their guns and shot at Gabe. Gabe leans back and starts calling out to the nearby Blood Humble. In the next moment, a group of Bloods surrounded the police officers. One officer quickly hid in the police car and called for backup from headquarters but was pulled up by Gabe. On the other side, Gus was undergoing training to kill Bloods. Just as he killed one, another one appeared. Gus aimed and prepared to shoot, but his gun was out of bullets. Vaughn instructed Gus to engage the Bloods in close combat. Gus obediently approached, ready to confront the Bloods head-on. Bloods meat spikes can't even hit him. However, Vaughn was dissatisfied with Gus's defensive approach and advised him not to rely solely on defense. Gus found the Blood's weakness and then subdued him on the ground. He exerted all his strength to pull out the Blood's stinger. Vaughn was pleased with what he saw and gave Gus his first mission to kidnap Palmer. Gus was startled by the task. On the other side, Fitzwilliam left the Stoneheart group and took a cruise to Staten Island. As soon as Fitzwilliam arrived at the port, he had to undergo a series of checks. Thanks to Justine's efforts, this safe, uninfected island was established. Stoneheart Group. Eichhorst brought Gabe here. The purpose of this visit was to ensure Palmer's safety, so the master specifically sent Gabe. Palmer doesn't want to see it. It's obvious that the blood ancestor sent Gabe to spy on him. However, Eichhorst was firm in his attitude, leaving Palmer with no choice but to reluctantly agree. On another side, F locked Zack in the laboratory to prevent him from wandering around, but when Zack learned that F had killed a vampire, he started to cause havoc in the lab. F got angry and brought Zack over. He then brought him in front of a Bloods, wanting Zack to see the reality. He explained that Kelly had turned into such a monster, and they would mercilessly drain his blood. Nora quickly intervened to stop F's actions, but F did everything for the sake of his son. This Bloods is about to die because he injected a cure. He now carries a virus that can kill Bloods, and the next step is to experiment with its contagiousness. So F decides to release him at night. If successful, he will spread like a plague to other Bloods. On the other hand, Gus disguises himself as a maintenance worker and successfully infiltrates the Stoneheart building using a fake identity. Vaughn leads the vampire warriors in action from the back door. By this time, Gus has successfully entered the elevator. Suddenly, the elevator shakes violently, and Gus starts his move. He knocks down the security personnel and covers the camera with spray paint. After finishing, Gus presses the top floor button. At this point, the vampire warriors were all hanging below the elevator as they followed it up to the top floor. The security department sees the elevator heading to the top floor and senses trouble, so they immediately find Palmer and take him to a safe room. Soon, the elevator reaches the top floor, and Gus opens the bottom of the elevator, pulling Vaughn and the others up one by one. After everyone prepares their equipment, they open the elevator doors, but Palmer is nowhere to be found. While the group is searching around, Palmer activates a defense system. In the next second, ultraviolet lights appear overhead, burned a member of the team on the spot. Seeing this, Vaughn shoots at the ultraviolet lights, but this thing is bulletproof. Then the ultraviolet lights surround the vampire warriors. Gus wants to save them, but Vaughn tells him to run. After hearing this, Gus quickly leaves the Stoneheart building. In an underground fighting arena, two wrestlers are engaged in a life-or-death duel. The one wearing a white headgear is the Silver Angel. During the fight, the Silver Angel overpowers his opponent and removes his mask. Unexpectedly, a vampire is revealed beneath the mask. Seeing this, the Silver Angel attacks him with a silver cross. The vampire instantly transforms into a bat and escapes from the arena. The Silver Angel quickly follows. He follows the footprints and arrives at the vampire's castle. As a result, he is ambushed by the vampire, resulting in a permanent disability in his right leg. Angel silently turns off the TV. He is the Silver Angel from the movie. Due to a broken leg during filming, he had to work at a restaurant. F and the others are preparing to send this dying Bloods back to Lair to spread the virus to other Bloods. Soon, Vasily drove to a nearby subway station. With the tacit cooperation of the crowd, the Bloods managed to be thrown out of the car. But what surprises everyone is that this Bloods does not head towards the subway station, so the group immediately follows him, only to find that he arrives at a mental hospital. While the group is chatting and laughing, a group of Bloods surrounds them from behind. Seeing this, the group immediately starts fighting and quickly kills them. Then F and the others enter the mental hospital and discover the Bloods' lair. All they have to do now is wait for the Bloods to spread the virus to other companions. After returning home, the group saw an exciting news. Councilman Justine went on TV and announced a citywide curfew and that peacekeepers would be sent door to door to clean up the mutated monsters. This is the best news Vasily and the others have heard during this time. On the other hand, Gus escaped from the Stoneheart building and returned home. His brother was lying on the floor emitting a strong odor. As Gus started packing his things, his mother suddenly walked out of the room. Although his mother had turned into a Bloods, Gus couldn't bring himself to harm her, but she no longer had any human consciousness. And upon seeing Gus, his mother immediately attacked. Fortunately, Gus reacted quickly and managed to evade the attack. Despite his mother's aggressive behavior, Gus couldn't bear to harm her. He called out, hoping his mother would recognize him, but in the next second, the blood ancestor suddenly took control of her body.
You failed.
I know who you are.
The ancients are the past. I am the future.
Guess what? I'm not fighting for the ancients. I'm not fighting for nobody but myself.
Cowardice. Ignorance. I set both as you ferried my coffin across the bridge into this city.
After the vampire finished speaking, it launched another attack on Gus, but Gus didn't want to kill his mother, so he could only lock her up in the apartment again. On the other side, F found Zach and expressed his deep apologies for what happened to Kelly. Father and son began to have a calm conversation. After F's words, the two temporarily put aside their differences. Then F took Zach to the baseball field, Zach's favorite sport. F thought that spending more time together would help Zach forget about Kelly, but while playing ball, Zach remembered his mother, and that moment was his happiest. In the end, Zach left sadly. Dutch found Abraham and discovered that Fitzwilliam, who was with Palmer before, was missing. Previously, Fitzwilliam spared her and Vasily's lives when they were caught in the Stoneheart building. After some investigation, she found out that Fitzwilliam had a brother who worked as a firefighter on Staten Island, so they can go get Fitzwilliam on board to fight the Blood Ancestor. Abraham thought it was a good idea and went to Staten Island with Dutch. Soon, they found Fitzwilliam's brother's house based on the address, and Fitzwilliam was indeed hiding there. Dutch persuaded Fitzwilliam to join them in saving the city, but Fitzwilliam insisted that even if Palmer did bad things, he would not betray him. Seeing Fitzwilliam's firm stance, Abraham left a business card for him to consider. On the other side, Palmer gathered bosses from various industries. He's come up with a bailout plan and reopened the doors of the stock market with everyone's collective effort. With the support of the richest person, everyone agreed to this proposal. After the meeting, the bosses walked out of the Stoneheart building. Journalists were already stationed at the entrance, reporting the news to everyone. However, suddenly, a group of Bloods rushed out and started attacking people frantically, plunging the scene into panic. At that moment, Palmer was in his car, observing everything. They seemed to be plotting some kind of plan again. On the other side, F and his companions arrived at the psychiatric hospital, but the Bloods carrying the virus had already disappeared, so they quickly ran out to search for them. F found the body of a Strigoi near one of the cages. He showed symptoms of being infected with the virus. To verify the virus's contagiousness, F continued searching for other Bloods. In the next moment, F discovered that the Bloods were all gathering on the rooftop, and then they began jumping off in a suicide-like manner.
Look out!